And so I stand there a long time, and I'm looking around, just like we were looking around. I'm like, okay. So I sneak down the hallway to the door, because I don't know what to do. And I sneak down there as quiet as I can, and I get to the door, and it's just barely cracked open, and it is like bright sunlight coming through. And I kind of push the door a little bit, and I look through, and it's like blinding light. And my eyes adjust, and I look in, and I see the back of a chair, like a throne. And it's red, and it has gold trim. And it's sitting on what looks like grass. But the grass kind of falls away. And there's nobody on the throne. That's what it looks like, because I can't see their legs. And I'm looking in this room, and I see mountains around. This is a room the size of a country. Okay, it's inside. I'm in the hallway around this room. And I am just stunned at the size of this room. And I push in a little more, and I start to go inside, and a voice says, "Stephen, come in." Scares me to death and snaps me right out of this whole vision. I'm like, whoa, what was that? God, I want to go back and see. I want to go in there. Can I go back? So I start thinking, how do I get back in there? What do I do? I have had one experience in my life where I was in a foreign country, and I got to meet the first lady, okay, the president's wife. And we went in with a little group. There was like 12 of us. No, there's like 7 of us. And I remember they gave us a pre-advice. What do you call that? They say, here's what you do. When you go in, the president's not here, you're going to meet the first lady. Here's protocol. Number 1, you never reach out your hand. You wait, and if she extends her hand, then you can take it, but you don't reach out for her. You never touch her, or the guys with the little things in their ears will take you right out of the meeting. You bring a gift. When you're meeting with a woman, you present the gift before you speak. If it's a man, you present it at the end of the time. I'm like, learning all this cool stuff. They say, you'll address her as Madam First Lady. So there's like protocol, right? Protocol before the First Lady. So I've had this experience, so I'm like, God, I want to go back. So I get all my best on in the spirit. You with me? I like dress up. All right? I get my best clothes on, get my favorite shoes. I go back into the chapel, and I say, Papa, can I go back in? Nothing. Lord, can I go back into the room? Nothing. And I decide, well, God, we have the mind of Christ. We have a redeemed imagination. I'm gonna remember back to that hallway. And so I did. I remember standing in this hallway, God, and I remember this bucket and this broom. I don't know what those are. I remember this door, God, and I remember being so alone and sneaking down to this door. I remember looking inside, and I remember this throne, and I remember I was wanting to come in, and God, I would have come in, and he says, you can't bring those in here. It startles me again. I'm back in the vision. I'm like, bring what? The bucket and the broom. Okay. So I go out and I lay the bucket and the broom outside, and I go back in, and I kneel behind this big throne, this big red throne. I'm like, so what do we do now? So I start thinking of all the things I need to pray about. I start thinking about my kids. I have 2 sons. They're mighty men of God. And I start praying for them. God, I'm worried about my son, whatever it was, I wish his teeth would grow straight, or whatever, What are the things we worry about? We worry about so much. And I'm sitting there, and I start to pray, and he says, I told you not to bring those in here. And I went, and I look, and the bucket is in my hand. I'm like, that's weird. So I take it outside, and I go back in, and I sit down, and I'm there quiet for a long time. And then I start thinking, and I start praying. I start talking to the Lord. I'm just in a conversation. Lord, I don't understand what this is about. I don't really know where I'm at. I just love you so much. God, I'm worried about this thing. Lord, this thing is really, and he stops me and he says, he puts his lip, I don't see him. He puts his hands on my lips. He stops me. He stops my mouth and says, in this place, you speak when you're spoken to. Protocol before the king. And he said, and you can't bring that in here. And I've got the bucket in my hand again. I'm like, oh, what is this? I take it out. The vision ended. Every day I started doing this. I did. I started doing it about a year ago. Every day. Now, I don't go do it in this chapel anymore. I started doing it in my shower. Sorry for the visual. I'm in my swimming suit. It's not a Speedo. Work with me here, people, okay? But I'm in my shower because it's quiet, I'm alone, and my wife's still asleep, and it's just a few minutes I have before my crazy day starts. CFO up at Bethel, man, it's busy, man. We're busy. Oh, won't take the time to say, but I'll just say my life is busy. I'll say this. I get 5 emails an hour. My inbox has 1,780 emails in it right now. So that's just, if you can imagine a tsunami of information, that's where I'm living. So I steal time in my shower. Does that make sense? And I just, I get all done and getting all pretty. And then I just kneel on the floor and I go back to this scene. And I sit behind this throne. And he begins to teach me things. How to steward his mysteries. All right? He begins to tell me something. Every day, I would come out of the shower. It got to where my wife, she just did it the other day. She goes, did you get your list? Yep. I walk out. God is speaking to me in this place. But it is unlike any place I've ever been. I still pray. We had prayer tonight. I was like, we're just like going at it. But that kind of prayer does not belong in this place, in my life. I mean, you might have a different experience. But here's where we're headed. I'm going to invite you into this, okay? Because, we're not going to impress the world. We've been talking about evangelism the last couple days. I love it. But I believe there's an evangelism of jealousy that is right here in our hands. It's right in this place, right here. And I'm going to show you a scripture in a minute, but I gotta finish this story because I'm out of time. I got 3 minutes, plus the 30 that you guys gave me. So I go back and forth, and I've been for over a year now. I go and I kneel and I listen. I don't speak. If I speak, he stops me. And he started teaching me. One of the first things I learned, remember I said I got all dressed up? He said that we disguise ourselves all the time. We disguise ourselves with our clothing, with my shoe style, with this amazing hair style I've chosen. Right? It defines me. It identifies me. The cars we drive, the houses we live in, the jobs we choose, how we live, it's like we put it on. And when I would go in and kneel, he'd say, "You can't bring that in here." He meant my false identities. He began to teach me that, he said, "You know, I made you naked. I made you Steve. That's what I made. When you come here, you come shirtless. You come and be with me. You don't speak? I'll teach you, but you just come. When you come to this place," it was an invitation. He says, "You don't have to be here, but you asked, in this place there's protocol." It's like, okay. So I learned, this is why it's in the shower. I learned to go before the king and just be Steve. Not invisible, not rage, not CPA, not pastor, not the author, not the husband who's all banged up, not the husband who now has his wife back, not the dad who has 2 amazing children, not the guy who's scared about everything. I kept going back. He told me more. He said, "You can't bring the bucket and the broom in here because the bucket is fear. We carry our fears around with us. It's like we love it. Their fear. Look it up in Scripture. It's their fear." He says, we carry this stuff around. He says, you got to leave your fear outside. He says, the broom, that's selfish ambition. That's what we arrange our worlds with. This is kind of how I want my wife to look and be. This is the way I want my kids to grow up. I want you to go to that college over there. This is the way I want my work to be. And, I've got 12 people that work under me. This is how I want you to act. We kind of arrange our world with our broom. He tells me in there, this is over months. He tells me that there are, in a man's heart, 3 thrones. A throne of fear, a throne of love, and a throne of selfish ambition. And we spend our time moving between the three choices. And he showed me that 90% of my prayers were fear. Me motivated by fear on the fear throne. From the seat of motivation is what he called it. My seat of motivation was fear. Even when I was attacked, it was fear. Repelling. Remember my rage button? All fear-based. Occasionally, I'd rise out of that, but I would skip over the throne of love and I would sit on the motivation of selfish ambition. And I would aspire to things. I want to do that. I want to become, I don't know, Brad Pitt. I don't know, whatever. I want to do this. I want to be that. I want to be taller. I want to grow my hair back. God's showing me it's taking. I'm in the middle of this. I don't even know where I'm going. But I know that every time I go, which is nearly every day, I listen. I don't speak. And when I leave, I know stuff. One day I went in, and he said, "You get to sit over here now." I made it to the side of the throne. Where I'm at now is I'm in front of the throne, and all I can see are his knees and his feet and everything, and the arms of this throne, and everything else is cloudy. That's all. I don't care. That's awesome. I'm just learning how to steward the mysteries. And he's teaching me these things. Okay. I gotta tell you this last piece. King David is a stud. Can I say that? Whatever. I'm Northern California, man. We're Okies up there, right?